Well, greetings and salutations, guys and girls. It's the Off-Grid Warrior and Rain. Well, greetings and salutations, guys and girls. Yeah, it's the Off-Grid Warrior, still trying to figure out stream settings here, and I've disappeared. Maybe. Oh, there we go. Good evening or afternoon, depending on where you're at. Yeah, stream number 2. I see we have a few people watching today. 10 people. Oh my. What am I going to do? Well, anyways, thanks those who have stopped by this evening. Yeah, it's been a little frantic this afternoon. After shooting some video for this live stream, I ran into some issues just with editing video again, and time ticking, getting closer to the stream. So I don't know, it's kind of like a little boy on his first date. A little frantic and a little bit of anxiety trying to set up for the stream because things weren't working software wise and editing, but hey, it'll all come together eventually, guys. Okay, so we've got a few people in chat here, guys. Introduce yourself in chat. Hopefully I'll be able to keep up and read some messages as we move along in the live stream tonight. I see, I had a question from Mr. Gas1. You had started a fairly large cabin years ago. Yes, actually, if you look at the back catalog of my YouTube videos, I did build a log cabin, and I think it took me almost a couple years. I lived in it for a little over 4 years. And you can see all that footage if you look back into my YouTube channel. I used to put out quite a few videos regularly, but as some of you may know, I've slacked off in recent years. Life, things get busy, things happen. So hopefully we'll get back to it, though. I'm trying to gather some momentum here with the live streams first, and then sort of doing videos on what I'm doing up here. Hopefully that answers your question. Who else we got here? Yeah, there are a few more. 15 people. Well, I'm also seeing, sorry guys, I'm looking at the screen at the same time. I'm still kind of wrapping my head around the software it requires to live stream, and I'm getting a message now that I haven't seen before from YouTube saying that the stream quality is poor. So I don't know if you guys can let me know in chat what is happening. Oh, there we go. Like I said, yeah, getting around the software, guys. You've been listening to a voice staring at a picture. I apologize. Yeah, guys, it can only get better, all right? So hang with me, and we'll get this stream thing under control eventually. So can everybody hear me at least? Oh, greetings from Scotland. Navarra from Scotland. Well, that's across the pond. Thanks for swinging by. Can you guys in chat let me know if you can hear me and if audio is good? I'm going to need some help on this one. If anything weird happens, let me know in chat. So some of you may not know that I do live completely off-grid, and sometimes I feel like I need to clarify what off-grid is, because some folks are a little confused with the meaning of off-grid. And over the years I've got a bunch of comments on what people think off-grid actually is. So, basically, I'm getting messages. So sound is good. Thank you. Oh, from Bonners Ferry. Howdy. So, off-grid basically means, disconnected from the electrical grid. There is no power up here. I do not have any water up here. I'm up on a mountain, and I haul my own water and, run things like batteries and solar generators and gas generators for my power needs. So yes, I am off grid, and I had somebody comment the other day, how can you be off grid if you're using the internet and streaming? Well, guys, it's called satellite, Starlink to be specific. And yeah, I have a Starlink dish. It is very much a luxury, I acknowledge that. And you know, it's been good to have, especially through the winter months. But I run that Starlink dish on a, right now the generator is running. I don't know if you guys can hear my generator out there. I can hear it, so let me know if you can hear a generator in the background, guys. Yeah, I run either on a gas generator or solar panels. I have some solar generators and some batteries. So yeah, that's how I'm on the internet, guys. Okay. Okay. Today I actually shot some footage of me gallivanting up and down the mountain again, and I stopped and sort of gave my thoughts on off-grid properties, selecting off properties, things to look for, and then at the end of the video I discussed you know, structures, options for building, you know, structures or homes. So I put that video together for you guys, and it's 13 minutes long. Yeah, I know, 13 minutes. That's quite an attention span you're going to need. I hear that the ideal length of a video on YouTube is 9 minutes because, you know, apparently people nowadays have very short attention spans. So hopefully you guys can get through a 13-minute video, and then at the end of the video, guys, we will, you know, chat about it. If you have any questions, comments, thoughts, ideas, criticisms, I can take constructive criticism pretty well, guys. No issue there. So yeah, if you guys are ready, what we will do is I'll fire up the video that I made today. It's fresh, and we'll watch that, and I'll keep an eye on chat. I'll follow chat. So if anything goes wrong, let me know. Also, guys, if all of a sudden I disappear and lose the stream, it's because, well, I am on generator, and you know, Lord knows sometimes things happen. So if my generator dies on me, I'll be gone probably all night. So just so you know, there's no option for me to you know, just quickly switch over to something else. It'll take some time. I may attempt getting the stream up again with something else should that happen, but just so you guys know, all right? All right, so I'm going to start this video. Hopefully I can get it fired up. Last stream I had some audio issues and so on with figuring the software out. So okay, so let's get the video fired up. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. I think some good footage. And also, you know, I'm using a camera right now which is less than ideal. It's an older camera I'm using for video footage, and it has a problem with some focusing, or I have the problem with focusing it. You know, for years I've used a GoPro. It's an older GoPro, but it's finally dying on me. I can't rely on it anymore, and that was really handy because GoPros are pretty easy for just, you know, throwing in a pocket and using, and the video is stabilized. The camera that I'm using today is not stabilized, so, you know, where that's my excuse. So hopefully you guys enjoy the video, and we will chat afterwards. Okay, here it is. I think here it is. Let's go. Well, greetings and salutations, guys and girls. It's the Off-Grid Warrior and Ranger, somewhere over there. Yeah, a little later than what I'd like it to be. I wanted to get going a little earlier, but well. So today I'm going to attempt to get the quad down the mountain again. I tried this yesterday, and let's just say on my return trip with the quad back up the mountain, there was a lot of digging, grunting, groaning, and just way too much effort involved in getting this quad back up the mountain. Still a lot of snow in a lot of areas, guys. So we're going to try that again today because I like punishing myself. And we've got some dog food to bring up and a few other items, so we're going to do that. Today's topic for the live stream, guys, is property selection and structures. If you're somebody who can throw a lot of money at problems, you're not going to find this very interesting. So let's just say that over the years I've learned through trial by error, or sometimes trial by fire, what works on this whole off-grid living thing, all right? It's not all roses and rainbow ponies, however that saying goes. So yeah, we're going to start our journey down the mountain, and we'll discuss a few of these topics on our way down, an overview, and then we'll get deeper into it perhaps in the chat, depending on the questions you guys ask. So yeah, let's do this. Okay guys, so here we are, what I call my summer parking spot. Clearly there's no vehicle up here right now. So maybe in a month and a half or so, I might be able to get my vehicle up here. Okay, I know, it looks drivable, but there's a lot more roadway down here that's not drivable, as you shall see. Okay, so I just want to touch on the property, choosing property, selecting an off-grid property, looking at land thing while we're up here. While we're up here in this beautiful view, guys. Hopefully the camera is doing it justice. This can be a fairly broad topic. I can't cover all the points. There's some areas I'm not an expert in, but there's two things, guys, two overarching topics that I would say need to be handled and need to be considered in property selection. All right, and they're fairly obvious, but they're very important, guys. Is number one, water. How is the water situation on this piece of property or land you're considering? Is there a well? Can you haul water? Is there a public water source nearby? Well drilling, guys, can be pretty expensive, especially if, you know, depending on the terrain you're at. You're more likely to find water well drilling at, you know, at a surface level, bottom of the valley, low altitude situation. You can drill and potentially find water. The higher you go up, if you want to go live on top of a mountain, drilling becomes not only super expensive, but you may not find, you may drill hundreds of feet and not hit anything. So drilling for water gets a little iffy on a mountain. Yeah, if there's no well situation, back to hauling. Is there a public source nearby? Is it viable to haul water? I used to haul water. I had a 200-gallon tank I'd put on the back of the pickup truck and haul water at times, and fill up a 400-gallon container, which then fed the cabin. So there's that. How far do you have to drive? How much effort is it going to take to haul water? What are your options? Also, there's catching water. Rainwater harvesting off your roof or off some kind of surface is something I do as well. You know, the location you're choosing geographically, what is the rain season like? Is it viable to think you could survive off rainwater catchment and then filtering it? Creeks nearby, streams. You know, sometimes you will think you're out in the middle of nowhere and a creek is good water, but sometimes not a good idea without filtering it. So thinking you're going to live off a creek could be a little bit iffy. Be careful with filtering water and, you know, drinking that water on a regular basis. All kinds of animals drink in creeks and poop in creeks, and weird things go down in creeks. So you know, these are all things you need to consider around water. I know some of this stuff is obvious, guys, but I'm just pointing it out anyways. The other thing, number two, important, is solar exposure, sun exposure, right? I'm going to assume that if you're thinking about living off-grid and being as free as possible and living independently, you're thinking about growing items. So you're going to need sun for that, and water. So you got to factor in, do you have good sunlight exposure? What's it like in winter? What's it going to be like in the summer months? And I can tell you from personal experience that, you know, I own some property, absolutely gorgeous, old growth trees, just stunning views. Come winter, I was on the dark side of the moon. Didn't think that went through very well. And let's just say if I got 30 minutes of sunlight on the rooftop through winter, it was a lot. So, you know, factor that in. Sunlight, not just for well-being, but for, you know, growing food and just, you know, feeling good. You know? Well guys, that is a content working dog. Ranger's run up and down this mountain 4 times at this point, so he's pretty content right now. Okay guys, man, I'm having some issues with my camera, so I don't know, just shut down on me. It's in and out of focus, so I apologize guys. I wanted to cover the topic of construction and construction options. You know, if you want to build a small place, start building a house, your off-grid home, you know, what are sort of viable options? I can only really speak to my experiences. I'm no building materials, construction expert. I'm not selling myself as that. Clearly, I'm not going to be building something like a cob or straw bale home up on a mountain this far north. It's just, there's a reason why the original people who moved out here and settled, you know, these properties and lands out here, why they used logs and timber. All right, if I was down in the southwest somewhere in a desert area, I might consider straw bale or some construction, but I can't really talk to things like that. All right, but I can talk to log home building and framing. And in my experience, I have built my own log home. If you guys watch some of my earlier videos on YouTube, there are videos out there where many videos on me building my first home. At that point, I had no experience building a log home. I knew nothing about log home construction, but for some reason, a doofus like myself was able to, you know, build a small log home. I did have the help of somebody who knew how to build log homes, and they showed me how to operate a scribe. They spent a couple days with me showing me the basics, and then I went forward. But there's lots of videos. I had several books on the topic. Here's the thing with log homes you guys need to know. There's a massive amount of energy and effort that is required when you're dealing with logs. To move a log, one single log, to move it onto a wall, get it cut, get it measured, get it into place is a massive undertaking, even for one guy. If you're a team of men, well, log homes go up pretty fast. If you have a company behind you, log homes can, you know, go up in a couple of weeks. But if you're one guy or a couple or a small family building a log home, know that it's going to take time. I can think of 3 or 4 families I've met over the years that have done that. It literally took years to build the log home and get it to a point where family was living in it comfortably after many years. All right, so know that the energy required in moving logs, I'm not even getting into the cutting down of logs, the storing of logs. Logs need to be down, they need to dry. That could take a year or 2 depending the climate you're in, and they need to be dry before you start cutting and scribing and playing with them and building with them. A lot of people just think they're going to come out here, cut logs, and then, you know, build a place. It's possible using green logs, but you're going to run into issues as those logs dry on your wall. They're going to crack and twist and warp, and sometimes that can be a little unsettling. People have done it, but ideally you want the logs to dry. So just the equipment required to move logs around, pulleys, cable. You can see how I did it if you watch my earlier videos. Massive amount of effort and quite a bit of time to get her done, but possible, guys. Everything is possible. It's really just a case of how badly you desire it or want to make it happen. You'll make anything happen if you really want to. Now framing again, when I built this place I had little to no experience with framing. I had built commercially built a few log homes, and we built I know 1 or 2 interior walls that I watched the guy frame up, and you know, that's where I got the basis for my understanding of framing. And so I bought lumber and started hauling it up here and building this place. So I'm an absolute amateur. Clearly there's things that I would do differently, lots of mistakes. I'm not going to show you all of them. I can tell you, you don't want to build a sloping roof. Oh, don't focus. You don't want to build a sloping roof, guys, that slopes into a mountain or hillside behind the cabin, because all that water that comes off the roof lands behind the cabin and then wants to travel underneath the cabin. Not good. Also, that roof for snow country needs to have a way bigger pitch or steeper pitch on it. Man, did I screw up on that roof. So also, this whole structure is just on log piers, so anything's possible, guys. Again, I'm not giving you construction advice. I'm just telling you about my experiences. So if you want to get something done sooner rather than later, that requires a little less physical effort and energy, I would go with framing, guys. One man can carry up 2x4s or 2x8s on his shoulder. Maybe if the wifey is strong, she can help with that too. All these boards, 90% of all the boards you see here, the 4x8s, walls, the OSB board, I carried up on my head on foot up this mountain. So it's all possible. Again, how badly do you want to make it happen, guys? So that's been my experience. Yeah, hopefully you guys have some questions for me in stream, and we can discuss more in detail or not what you've seen here. So that's it, guys. Cheers. Okay, well, that was that. Let me know if you guys can hear me, if I'm back, if the audio is working. Right now, I managed to get a light right up in front of me. It's kind of blinding right now, but it's the only way you're going to see me. Things are getting dark outside, darkish. It's duskish. So, yeah. If I'm squinting a little bit, it's because I got a light staring me in the face right now. Okay, so are we back on audio? Everything's good. Mr. Gas 1, thank you, sir, for letting me know. We're all working. Okay, so do you guys have any questions? Any thoughts to share on what I put out there? The things that I talked about and some of the topics that I brought up were, not a complete amount of things to think about when considering property or structures. I mean, there's obviously a lot more one can, talk about, but there's only so much I know, and I try to stick to the experiences that I've had. I see there's a little bit of delay on the stream too, so okay. Are you planning on painting or putting siding on, Mr. Gas? Well, yes, I am. Baby steps. It's really a matter of what I can find that I can afford. I don't want to go out and spend loads of money necessarily on siding. I'm hoping to just, discover something. My automatic light just came on. I have some solar panels outside hooked up to 2 indoor lights, and the indoor lights come on their own when it gets dark. So that's what just happened. There's no one else here. Where was I? Yeah, so siding, yes, I'd like to get some siding in at some point. I'm hoping to find something for free or low cost. I've considered everything from perhaps metal siding, which would look horrible. Ideally, I'd like to side with some shingles, some rustic-looking shingles, wooden or cedar shingles. That would look great, but that's expensive, and we'll just see what happens. I need to do something soon because we're going on to year 3 now, and I'm starting to see some wear. That sounds pretty bad. Year 3 and still no siding. But yeah, I'm starting to see some wear and tear on that OSB, so I need to get it covered with something. Okay. What else we got here? Sorry, guys, I'm scrolling back in chat here to try and see where we're at. I have a few questions coming in, which is great. So just bear with me. We'll get to them. Looks good. Got to truck the chickens in. Oh, that's something else. Off-grid Aussie prepper. Thank you, sir. It's a fact of life, You will at some point go gray. And sure, you could color your hair, but Yeah, what does that really say about you? It's one thing if you're a woman and color your hair. If you're a man who's coloring your hair, well, I don't know. What can I say? Your choice. Okay, did I miss some questions here? Uncomfortable silence, I know, guys. Yeah, like I said last stream, I'm not the kind of guy that can just endlessly talk. That's not one of my superpowers. So I was really hoping for you guys to have some questions, and I could answer some questions, or even if you have ideas, your own thoughts on how you would do things, let me know. Because if I don't have a lot of questions, guys, I'm just gonna have to end the stream, because nobody wants to watch me staring at the screen. Yeah, so maybe going ahead with the upcoming streams, I need to find some media to play or clips to watch or something if there's not going to be any questions. Men should be men, women want real men. That's I would imagine so. It's a little confusing nowadays. Not for me, not for most people, but apparently some folks do have some trouble with that basic understanding. So yeah. Native game around Stretch Smith. Well, thank you. Good question. Yeah, I have everything that you will find in North America pretty much around me. Everything, the big, as far as we'll go from size downward. I have everything from grizzly bear, black bear, elk. We have fairly large herds of elk around here, various times of the years. I've seen a massive one just up over this crest behind the cabin here, maybe about 50, 60 elk. Then we go down to, yes, there moose, not a lot of moose, but we do have one or two that tend to come through in winter. We don't have massive herds of elk or big groups of, moose. It's just not something we see a lot of. They are around and they're pretty elusive. So, once or twice through winter, I may spot one. I've had one up here this winter and I've seen its tracks, but it's remained elusive. And then down to deer, yeah, we have a lot of whitetail around here, a lot of muleys. And then we get into sort of the cat, wolf, mountain lion, all of the above. We have some wolf packs around here, one fairly near, I've been told. I've actually spotted wolf several occasions this year. Coyote, yes, coyote, and cats. I hear cats all the time through winter. Really freaks my dog out. The ranger is pretty good with hearing noises. He'll bark, but when the mountain lions start to do their, creepy calling at night, he gets a little disturbed. I do too. I don't know if you guys have ever heard a mountain lion, but the females can, whine like, I don't know. I know this is a little weird, but like a woman screaming. That's what it sounds like. So it's quite disconcerting when you hear them. So yeah, I've got everything, and then even down to like grass. I actually have a lot of eagles in this area. It's really quite beautiful. Most days, if you watch the sky around here, you're gonna see the bald eagles flying around. It's quite amazing. A lot of grass, my favorite, tasty critters. Yeah, I have some snowshoe hares through winter, and bunnies in spring. They're a little more elusive. You don't see them in the summer months. They kind of out hiding because they're easy to spot, but they become more active, at least from what I can see, in winter around here. I see them all the time. There was one living underneath the cabin at some point. So yeah, everything. Where was I? Okay, we're back to siding. Not coloring my beard. Painting is an option. Have you thought about a solar heater? A solar heater? Solar heater. Are we talking about solar heater? I'm not sure. You'll have to clarify that. I have a solar shower bag which I hang up outside. It heats up, with the sunlight. I use that to shower with. But solar heater, other than that, you'd have to expand a little bit on what that would look like. Where are we? Ask Wrangle Star. He is turning into a woman. Oh. Well, I remember in the early days of me, being a city guy watching videos. This guy Wrangler Star popped up, and at the time he was doing stuff, showing axes, sharpening axes, which is pretty cool stuff, kind of manly stuff. And recently, I actually don't watch a lot on YouTube, guys, even though I'm on it right now. I really don't hang out on YouTube, and there's no one that I follow or watch, but I do know who he is. But I did see something he did regularly or recently, and it seemed very much un-Wrangler Star from what I could remember. He was basically whining about current politics or the situation, and his leather jacket looking super cool. And I don't want to sound mean, guys, but that sort of thing doesn't appeal to me. I call a lot of this stuff fear porn, and there's a lot of it now, even within these sort of off-grid circles and so on. I don't think it doesn't do me any good focusing on politics and what the latest thing is. I mean, I like to know what's going on, and I keep one eye on it, kind of, sort of, but I don't obsess about it because there's really nothing I can do about it. And I can either expend my energy, my spiritual emotions, my thoughts on that, or I can just focus it on getting on with life. So I know politics and current events is a big thing right now with many people, and it's good to know, but I would say be careful obsessing. And back to the Wrangler Star. There's a few people over the years that they seem to have some kind of success on YouTube or getting out videos, and I'm talking about the off-grid homesteading circles, and then you see them a few years later, and it's they're pushing this fear porn stuff, and it's kind of, I actually understand why, because I fell a little bit into this in the early days of YouTube. I've been on YouTube for many, many, many years, and I've kind of been vacant, as some of you guys know. I think Aussie Prepper pointed it out. I've been vacant from YouTube for many years, and I kind of fell into a cycle there. When you meet some success, you start focusing on things like, what's the best thumbnail I can put up here? How can I hook people with the best intro or heading for the video? So you start to think about, like, how can I get viewership up? And what I found, speaking for myself, is I started to move away from what I just love to do and share with people to, like, what do I need to do to make this video good to hook people in and capture eyeballs, good thumbnails, and so on and so on. Also, I had people reaching out, for me to, like, look at things and talk about them on my videos, products, and I did get some things, and I did talk about them mostly because they were things I could use. There are a lot of things I turned down, but I know the progression with a little bit of success and viewership. You start to think about other things. How can I get people in? Fear porn, and talking about politics. I mean, there's another guy who looks kind of Amish or like a Mennonite. I don't know what his name is, but they used to do homesteading stuff with him and his wife. Now the few videos that pop up and I see him again, he's talking about politics and fear porn. Oh, this is going to happen. They're going to attack, and watch out for this. And it's unfortunate, guys, but it's a sign of the times, really. It's kind of sad that folks started off with good intentions, then get caught into this hook of making money and pushing fear porn to get the views. It's probably why I suck at YouTube, because I really don't care, and I just want to do stuff that I enjoy and want to share. That's where I'm at now, and that's probably the direction I'm going to continue to move, whether it's good for views or not. Okay, sorry guys, I went off on a little bit of a tangent there. Let's see what other questions we got over here. Well, I feel like I went on a little tangent there. Apologies, guys. Okay, where are we at? Not much warning for this broadcast, but happy to see it. Oregon Fur. Well, thank you, sir. Yeah, I know. I'm still wrapping my head around the live streaming thing, and how to get the message out there, and who's even listening for the message. So yeah, I'll do better in the future with trying to get out, give you guys more time, and let you know what the schedule is. I'd like to actually do a live stream regularly on either Friday or Saturday evenings. I need to work out what's best for everybody going ahead, when people are actually free. We've got East Coast, West Coast, and time differences. So I think eventually I can fine-tune it in, and I'd like to do a regular live stream and then perhaps get back to doing videos. But it all depends on people. If I have viewers and people who want to see what I'm doing, that's fine. But otherwise, what's the point? Okay. Root cellars will take an excavator to dig on this terrain. Yeah, so root cellars is probably something I will do at some point up here. It is on the cards. Yeah, you're right about terrain. It's a disadvantage of being up in a mountain on a rocky terrain. Any kind of digging requires equipment, and let me tell you guys, I don't like to spend money on renting equipment or others. Clearly, I don't have much of it. So I think there's ways to get around that with this type of terrain. I have a lot of little embankments and little hillsides that I can incorporate into something, perhaps a rock in the front with a hillside on the back. And, it's probably not going to be something large, but something that you could at least get into and keep items cool. It's obviously not going to be a big walk-in root cellar, but I think I've got enough terrain indentations and little mounds here I can incorporate something like a root cellar into it, and then cover it with dirt and plant stuff on top of it. I like to try things, whether they fail or not. I'm going to give it a go. So yeah, maybe this summer and spring we'll start on that. Mr. Gas. Well, yeah, I don't. Yeah. What pistol do I carry and rifle? Let's just say I carry them occasionally. I don't really, want to get into those sort of conversations on YouTube. I mean, eventually when I'm streaming somewhere else, we can talk about that. But, there's a group of people that watch for stuff like that, and they don't like that sort of chat. So I don't want to run into them, but, you can find me on Gab, and you can find that sort of stuff out. Gab.com. That's where real free speech is at. So hopefully you understand that. We don't want to get into like gun talk here, even though I have no problem with it, but some people do. Okay, guardian dog. Yeah, Ranger is my guardian dog. So I don't have a lot of experience with dogs in the past. Ranger is only the second dog I've ever had, and I had no idea what I was getting into with a hound dog. Ranger is what is called a black-mouthed cur. I think down south they refer to them as coon dogs. They're popular dogs for small game hunting, bird dogs, and so on. But Ranger is he's a hound. He's led by his nose, so I kind of have to, even though he has a lot of freedom up here, I have to keep tabs on him, because if he gets wind of something or sees a deer, he's gone. There's been times where Ranger's been gone for 7-8 hours, and it's disconcerting when it's starting to get dark and I have coyotes and all sorts of things out here. A group of coyotes will gang up on a single dog real quickly, and coyotes are pretty good at that too. They'll use one or two to lure the dog into an area where the rest of the pack is waiting. So I have to keep tabs on a dog like Ranger. He's loose when I'm outside, but I used to let him run around on his own when I was doing my thing in the cabin. But after he disappeared for multiple hours, several times, I kind of had to rein that in. But otherwise, when I'm out, he's out. He's very good. He's a good security dog. If there's anything moving around outside, he knows. He smells it. He's pretty good in that way. And typically, when I'm moving around, he will be around me. Sometimes he's out of sight, but he tends to typically. There's been a few exceptions. He's around me, so he's good to have. And in the winter months when I am working, I'm hiking down this mountain in the dark on foot, and I'm hiking back up it after the day in the dark. So it's kind of nice to have a dog. So definitely handy. But just know, if you're getting into the hound thing, you're going to be dealing with a doggy that likes to disappear. He's also not fixed, so there's that. I'm not a big, if I lived in town in a city and had neighbors, I'd maybe consider fixing my dog. But, I don't want to be fixed, and I don't think my dog wants to be fixed either, so sorry. Okay, where are we at? Do I plan on getting more chickens? Well, I think for one person, it's sort of... I've had lots of chickens before. I owned some property in Washington out in the boonies, and I started off, I think, with maybe 25 chickens, and there were four people in the family. And there's a lot of egg wastage. And I can tell you that when you live out rural and you're not living in town and don't have a community around you, there's, you don't want to waste eggs. What I found with eventually what I started doing with the overflow of eggs that I couldn't get rid of, I would hard boil them, and then I would, when I had a bucket of hard boiled eggs, I would crush them all up, smush them, and then I'd refeed them to the chickens. Now, hopefully no one freaks out with that, but I've told a few people over the years what I did, and they seem to get a little upset. But guys, it's just protein. The chicken doesn't know what it's eating. It's actually good for the hens to feed them. So I didn't have a problem with that. And also, there's obviously calcium in the eggshell. As long as you're not feeding an egg that's obviously an egg back to your chicken, because sometimes you can get one or two chickens that become egg eaters. So, just make sure you smush the egg down and that it doesn't resemble an egg. It's boiled well, and you can feed it back to your chicken. It's a way to cut down on those food costs. Also, you should be free-ranging your chickens too. I don't up here because, like I said, I've got a lot of eagles and birds of prey. They're always around. So my chickens don't get to run around as much as I'd like to. I might start doing that this summer when I'm actually out and about and outside and keep an eye on them. I know that's kind of silly, keeping an eye on your chickens, but they're 2 hens, no rooster. And I find two hens for one guy is more than enough eggs. I often have 12 eggs just sitting there once they start laying in spring and summer. Winter can be a little sketchy. They go for a few days at a time without eggs, but I don't think I want more than 2 eggs up here, 2 hens up here. They're more than enough for one person. Well, there's a long one there on just something really simple. So I see, is it Carlene? You're going to figure out how to excavate for root cellar. Yeah, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. Root cellars are great ideas. I can tell you the first couple, year and a half, 2 years, I was up here. I didn't have any way to refrigerate things. And when you don't have a way to refrigerate food, it's really going to affect your diet. I found myself eating a lot of dry goods, tinned goods, which I'm not a fan on, food in tins. It's not my go-to way of eating. But yeah, it becomes really tough on keeping good food if you don't have a refrigerator. Of course, winter was a little different those first two couple winters because I was able to just leave the food outside. What I'd do is I'd put it in a cooler and just leave it outside, and it would stay cold. Temperatures through winter are pretty cold out here. Down to sub-zero. So keeping food through winter up here, not a problem. It's spring and summer months and autumn. Keeping meat's almost impossible. So if you watch the last stream, you can see the fridge that I use, it's a 12-volt box cooler. It is a fridge. It has a compressor, and that's pretty good for me. It keeps all my meats and other items cold. I can have milk up here. I'm a bit of a milk drinker, and the first 2 years I was not really able to have any milk up here. Where, right? But yeah, having a way to keep things cold is really key to being successful and comfortable food-wise wherever you are. Okay, where were we? That's a good question. Good. The whole root cellar thing is pretty key, keeping foods cold. Oregon Fur, you were about to continue to re-binge watching my channel and this new vid pops up. Yay. Well, yeah, there's quite a difference between the videos I used to put out and where I'm at now. So hopefully this still sort of, works for you. I took quite a vacation from YouTube there for a couple of years and was really not putting much out, as you know. So hopefully you get some enjoyment out of this. And the plan is to put out some regular streams and to possibly, start on videos again. I say possibly. It's very time consuming putting out videos like that. And just with my lifestyle now, guys, there's a lot of just getting up the mountain, down the mountain, getting to a job. I have to drive 30 miles to get, work locally. That's if I've got it. And then sometimes when I'm taking on a construction job, I'm out of town. It's, so the commute and just the free time that I have to just make videos is no longer what it used to be. But anyways, we shall see. Clickbait, fear porn, most YouTubers do nowadays. That's true, man. It's so true. And it's sad because something like homesteading, growing food, off-grid, outdoors, backpacking, there's really no reason for people to start tying into this whole fear porn and politics thing, and I just see it being done more and more regularly nowadays, and it's kind of sad, but it is what it is. Well, okay, I'm losing track here. The screen is kind of away from me, guys, and the text is very small. Clearly I'm getting older. I'm kind of having to squint at what it says. Okay. Yeah, well, you appreciate my honesty. It's refreshing. Well, yeah, what else is there besides honesty? Eventually, lies will catch up with you, and it's just pointless, really. Solar heater is way to use the sunlight to help heat your home. Oh, okay, yeah. I've seen some variations on this. I've seen somebody with an entire side of a house being a glass wall, or a wall vented at the bottom and the top, and then a glass panel in front of the entire wall. So you get this heated space of hot air, and then, of course, that gets pulled into the house through these vents. I mean, there's various ways to do that, I guess. It's not something that's going to work up here. In summer, I just boil. It gets really hot up here, guys. It's, 100, 105, 109 degrees last year through summer, and doesn't matter what you do. I just beat myself hiking up this mountain, sweating, get home, and then I go and lay in the hammock and cool down at sort of 9 p.m. It's still, 90 degrees. So I'm not going to complain, though, because, around comes winter and it's sub-zero temp. So I mean, I guess there always could be some temperature one could complain about, but what's the point? It's out of your control. Okay. Agree 100% regarding Wrangler Star drifting off track. Yeah. Sad but true. You know, I understand why. Like I said, it's when you become completely dependent on this revenue stream on YouTube, you've got to keep the momentum. And when you get obsessed with looking at your views, looking at your income, and you start seeing a dip, you start frantically thinking, well, how can I get it up? I need to go with the thumbnail that's either got this young girl in yoga pants in front of a log cabin going, we're off grid, or I start talking about, it's the end of the world and, your government's coming to get you. And that'll draw in some extra views and you get bolstered by that. And on you go. You keep on just keep following this trend of, putting out more fear porn for more views. And, I don't have anything against this Wrangler Star guy. I mean, I'm sure he's a nice guy, but it's, I haven't watched a full video of his stuff for a long time, but I have seen clips recently that come over, with a YouTube short, or if I'm on BitChute, I prefer to be on BitChute if I am kind of looking for stuff. And he pops up there at times. I never watch the whole thing because it's just not the Wrangler Star that I once knew and watched. It's not anything I want to watch now. Okay, I'll quit on that topic, guys. Is it fairly easy to build lots of videos on YouTube? Sorry, I think I'm going all over on the chat here, guys. Okay, I see there's more questions coming in that I need to move through this. Hey, listen, I'm really apologize if I don't get to everybody's question, guys. I'll try and maybe, if I can, look up chat after the fact and maybe reply if they're good questions. But I'm doing my best now to answer everybody. Okay, so where were we? Oh, none your business. How many letters have you received? Probably about 5. For those of you who don't know, I am on some social media, and I recently shared my address for, if anybody wanted to write a letter, to do so. So I guess maybe none your business, that's what you're referring to. Yeah, maybe 5, 6 letters, which has been really nice. There's something about letters, guys. Opening a letter and reading a letter somebody took the time and effort to write. I know it's just something people don't do anymore. I don't do it. I'm guilty. And here's the thing. I put my address out there saying, write me a letter. And I realized when the first couple letters came in, I didn't have any paper up here to write back. So it's on the cards. I need to get some paper and some envelopes and some stamps, and I'll reply back to every single one. But yeah, I need to get some paper up here. I'm guilty as charged. So okay, where are we? Drifting here, drifting off topic. John Off Grid Garage. Hi there, old friend. Well, thanks, John, for swinging by. I think I vaguely recall your name at some point, your handle. Thanks for stopping by, man. Yeah, nothing wrong with feeding them the boiled eggs at all. Good protein. Thank you. Yeah, that is true. We're talking about boiling the excess chicken eggs you may have, smushing them up, breaking them up, and refeeding them to your hens, as opposed to just wasting eggs. Okay. Wow. Oregon, where are we? Off grid. Yeah, that's not really directed to me. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to make sense of some of these questions. Read and keep talking at the same time. That's not a skill I possess yet. Apologize if I'm missing some of these. Okay. Okay, so a question from Oregon for how am I powering my broadcast at this moment? Also, are you using Cell or Starlink from the cabin? So, Oregon Fur, right now I am on Starlink and I have a generator buzzing outside. It's a smaller generator, it's a 2500 watt generator. So, just a portable one you can carry. It's powering the router and the dish right now. I do not have cellular connectivity up here. There is no cell signal for about 9 miles. So I really like that. Cannot use a cell phone up here, guys. And I barely get in AM stations. Perhaps if I was further up the mountain, I would be able to get better AM reception. But AM is something you can always typically find, but I have maybe 3 channels that I can tune into, and so I'm kind of in a little of a dark zone over here, which again is fine by me. But yeah, without a generator and dish, yeah, there'd be no communication up here, that's for sure. Okay, wow. Did I catch up with all the chat? Did I just take too long on that one, guys? I got to figure out how to make the actual chat larger so I can read it. So, apologies if I'm rambling a bit here, trying to get through the chat and see all this stuff. Of course, you guys are also talking to each other, and it's kind of pointless if I read those messages. So... yeah, a bunch of random questions tonight, guys. I see some guys on here that used to follow me when I was fairly active on YouTube. Thanks for coming by, guys. I appreciate it. I know things are a little bit different now than what they used to be then, but that's life. It changes. I don't want to be like one of those old pop stars that's now 50 or 60 years old, still dressing like like a 14-year-old living in the past. So, I've had to evolve over time. I recently, and guys, this is nothing I follow, but I recently saw a short clip of Madonna, of her recently with some rather bizarre, bizarre behavior and clothing habits for a woman, I don't know, who's maybe in her 60s now, behaving like, yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen any of that stuff, but this is the downside of actually having internet up on a mountain, guys. For several years, I went without paying attention to any of this nonsense. And now that, I have a cell phone and occasionally go into town and, have internet, now these things will pop up at times, and I'm like, yeesh. So I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. Some weird things going on out there. And I'm glad I can, just from a distance, I can choose whether to partake or view or be part of anything. It's kind of the peace that I get up here, guys. Sometimes ignorance is bliss. I don't care what you say. Sometimes not knowing is better. And I'll be honest with you guys, since getting internet up here, there's certain areas that have become less productive. There is at times when I should be maybe splitting or chopping wood. I'm not saying it's a problem, but I might be languishing watching some documentary on, monks in Tibet. When you don't have that option, you tend to get the chores done, and you're constantly going, entertaining yourself outside. But I'll admit, I do enjoy documentaries, and I do like to watch stuff about, different groups of people out in the boonies, going about life like they have for hundreds of years. We think we're pretty special going off grid nowadays with all this equipment and technology, and there's people have been doing this for a long time and doing just fine with way less than what we have. And it's funny, I often think that I have too much, and I think most people would look at my lifestyle and what I actually own and think, well, he really doesn't have much. I look at it and say, I have way too much. How do I pare down? I'm constantly thinking about how to pare down. An important lesson I had to learn in recent years was looking at, when I'm thinking about either purchasing something or there's something that I need, I need to ask myself, do I want this or do I need it? And there's a difference between want and need. You can convince yourself that you need something, but do you actually need it? I have a storage unit with stuff in. It's a small storage unit. I have a storage unit with stuff in it that I haven't touched or looked at or looked in that box for years. But I still have it. It's sitting there in a storage unit. And occasionally I think about it. And, what good is that stuff to me? All those plastic boxes of things that I've accrued over the years that I pay not much, but there's a monthly cost to having a little storage unit in town. If somebody just emptied that storage room for me and magically stuff was gone, I wouldn't miss a thing. Guys. So I think it's a pretty important question to ask yourself. Do I want this or do I need it? And as far as need goes, like, is this something I'm going to use daily or at least weekly? That might be something you need. But if you're going to use something like once in a blue moon or once a year, maybe you should rethink whether you want that or need that. And that's really, it's been a struggle and a process, and it still is. I would love to have way less than I have now, and I have very little. So, sorry guys, I'm not even looking at chat right now. I'm just, ranting on here. A great white buckwheat loop works better for AM, but a straight wire. Yeah, I've heard that. I need to figure out how to. There is an actual external. I have one of these AM FM. It's a multi-band radio, and there is, I believe, at some point I had an antenna for it that allowed you to plug it in, and it was an external antenna and create a loop. And I need to find that. Hey, that antenna could be in one of those plastic boxes I've just been talking about. But yeah, that would be a better way to go. You're right about that. None your business. Less is more. It's true, guys. Less is more. And here's the thing. I didn't really talk much about this. I did several clips this afternoon in the video that I put together for you guys. There are several clips that didn't make it to editing that I ranted on about a bunch of stuff. I kind of had to choose between clips to make it not too long. But one of the things I've seen over the years with folks moving out, wanting to be off-grid and, have a small homestead or a tiny house out in the boonies. I've been doing this for, 8-10 years in some context or the other. And, I've been in areas where I've seen families in the short time that I've been doing. Listen, there's people that have been living off-grid in these areas for 20, 30 years. I met an incredible couple that it would be hard to find them, but they had been living out in the mountains for 30 years. And they had been retired for about 10 of those years, the last 10 years. And they had a beautiful place, a complete secret hideaway spot. Absolutely amazing. And they've been doing this for like 30 years. They were a wealth of information. Those are the guys you really want to find and ask them about, living and thriving off-grid. Because a lot of people can live off-grid, but you want to be able to thrive. You want to be comfortable. But anyways, one of the things I've seen over the years is, folks, they, been scrolling on their Facebook and Instagram looking at these off-grid properties, and they kind of get this desire to, oh, this looks like a wonderful life to live and we should do this. And, before you know it, they buy a bunch of stuff and sell their home in the city, and they get this property And I've seen, I can think of a handful of times where I've seen these couples rush out, and 2 or 3 years later they're gone. They do a couple winters, and the next minute you see a for sale sign at the end of their driveway, and they're gone. And what I want to say on this is, I think when you come out and you want to do something like live off grid and live simply, and live like more of a free person, don't come out here with the burden of debt that you were carrying in the city. I would say one of the first things you want to do when you're considering moving off grid, finding some land, and giving it a go, is make sure that you come out with little to preferably no debt. It's tough coming out into a rural area after living in a city, earning a certain type of income or salary, and you move out here, and all of a sudden there's, employment opportunities are slim to none. And you're not going to earn the same that you did, in a city. And so you arrive out here with all this burden of debt, and perhaps, I know one couple that's, bought a brand new all-wheel drive SUV so they could come and do their off-grid thing, on their new mountain property, and they bought a Kubota tractor. None of it was with cash. So they came out with this load of debt to establish themselves as off-gridders, spent a huge amount of money on having somebody build their home. And it took them 2 winters, and they sold that place. And I had a conversation with them, and, I know that they had sold their truck after the first year here. The brand new SUV truck got sold. Then the Kubota got sold. And, I know that they arrived here with a lot of debt. And then they had to service that, earning, working odd jobs in a small town job, as a checkout clerk in a grocery store, which is nothing wrong with that. But now you're going to support a $1,000 car payment. So I would say in general, guys, you want to get out of debt. That's probably the most important thing. Off-grid or not, debt is modern slavery, guys. As long as you're beholden to a bank, you are not a free man. You will never be a free man when you have to pay a bank off every month. That burden on your shoulders of paying your master is not something you want out here. So I'd say come out, if you're going to do this, spend some time, the year before or two. Your primary thing to do is, how do I get rid of debt? How do I pay down and get out of debt before I go out there and throw myself into the woods? So that would be really number one. Debt. Stay out of it. And it's surprising. I've met kids that come out of high school. They've got a couple credit cards, and they already have their $1,000 iPhone. This is how it starts. And I've heard all excuses. You can leverage debt. Okay. Good luck. Go and leverage it. The other silly one is, this car is going to be an investment. Cars aren't investment, folks. You go buy a brand new car and you drive it off the lot. It's not accruing. It's not accruing interest, or it's not something. An investment is something that either retains its value or creates more value out of that investment, something you can sell later on for more money. A vehicle is not an investment. The amount of times over the years I've heard people say, oh, this car is going to be such an investment. I don't know. Okay, where are we? Man, I'm going way off topic here, guys. See these 28 viewers right now and very few questions. Is it just because I'm rambling on now? Any more questions? I don't know how much longer I can ramble for. What is the time? Well, we've been going for over an hour. So what else we got here? Aussie Prepper, yeah. Smartphone tech. You know, it's a tough one, the whole smartphone thing. I'm guilty. I have a smartphone, and I continuously think about getting rid of it and just going back to an old school flip phone. I think flip phones are probably a better idea. Dumb phones, if you want to call them that. There's just too much data gathering on smartphones. And I know, beginning to sound like an old fuddy-duddy, but, I am, they used to have this thing called gold, and gold was what everybody wanted, right? It's like the accruing of gold and wealth in that sense. Gold has fallen by the side. The new wealth is data. So if you're getting something for free, you guys have probably heard this. If you're getting a service for free, it's because you are what's being mined. You are the service, all right? So, man, I feel like we're going super off the topic here. But, yeah, I'm not a fan of... my entire, it's actually laughable. Here I am sharing a lot of my own personal life online, and I'm going to say, I'm kind of a private person. It kind of makes no sense, but yeah, I'm not a fan of the idea that my data is going to be bought and sold to marketers. The amount of times, it's really interesting, and you guys have probably experienced this, where I might be having a conversation or just completed a text message back and forth with a co-worker or an employer, and I'll get an advertisement that same day or within that hour about something related to the conversation I was having in private through text or voice on my phone. It's kind of uncanny. I don't know if any of you guys have ran into this. So, I don't want to sound like some kind of conspiracy theorist, but there's just a lot of stuff going on nowadays. This giving up of our data and of ourselves, so somebody else can use it for marketing material. It's one of the reasons why I just, for the most part, opted out of that kind of lifestyle, and yet here I am sharing all this info online. Okay. Yeah, debt-free. Rick Bates, being debt-free. Guys, being in debt is probably one of the worst things, one of the worst modern inventions. And it's not really even a modern invention. It's how it's implemented nowadays, as far as a modern man's concerned. Debt has become this thing that's almost impossible to live with, and it's not by accident, all right? When kids are coming out of high school with credit cards and already in debt before they've even started their university or higher education, already in debt, something's... Yes, everybody should pay for their education, but when you're in debt before you even come out as a young adult, it's really not a good system. And I don't believe, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, like I've never really done US high schools, but from the kids that I've spoken to, they don't really teach you about debt in the school. There aren't lessons dedicated, from what I understand, what I've heard, there aren't lessons talking about how to handle debt, what is interest, and so on. But they're very quick to hand out credit cards to young kids, and that just kicks them off in their lifetime of like, oh, I'll just use a credit card all the time. And before you know it, you are a slave, but then you're told things like, oh, you can leverage your debt. What's your credit score? Would you like to buy a house, a car? We're going to need to look at your credit score. This credit score thing is it kind of blows my mind. I mean, there's literally times where I'd rather pay with cash. Sorry, we need to see your credit card, but I can give you cash. We're going to have to look at your credit score. It just doesn't make sense, guys. This being in debt is modern slavery. It's a form of bondage, and I would say get out of it, especially in the context of off-grid living. Don't come out here and expect to, live lean and all that and bring all that city debt, because you may not be able to support it. if, of course, if you have ways to earn that income and continue paying those things, fine. But I'm just saying, in general, debt is pretty evil. I mean, I go on and on about this, but I don't want this to be a stream about debt. More renting. Okay, what else we got? Mr. Gas, debt free for years. Oh no, man, that's awesome. That's what everybody should be working towards. No debt, paying no one, owing no one. I remember my mom very early on said to me, if you can't pay for it with cash, don't buy it. You can't buy it if you don't have the cash. And guys, I haven't been squeaky clean my entire life. I mean, I've made some horrible decisions too. I once had the massive home, the 3-car garage, the new cars. I haven't always been this old grizzled bearded guy, up in a mountain, hauling his water. There has been success in my life, and I was fully leveraged. So I speak from experience. Yeah, the credit score is a debt slave brainwashing technique. Absolutely. Savagely, have you always been a cash and carry kind of guy? Credit cards are for suckers. Oh, you've always been. Yeah, guys, that's it's really tough in modern society, especially with, when you're forced as a kid with this idea that you need a credit score, you need a credit card to open a bank account. And I mean, the whole system just shoves you as early as possible into this, debt slavery thing. It's by design, guys. It's by design. Carlene, I teach classes to 30 and 40-year-olds how to pay off debt and live within their means. It's really sad that it's not taught anymore in school. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a prison sentence. I've heard people over the years, they can't go on vacation, they can't do the things they want to do because they have this burden of debt. It really, having huge amounts of debt can shape your life, shape where you go, how you do, what's possible. It really will shape your life if you live in that burden of debt your entire adulthood. So again, getting back into the context of off-grid living is you don't want that on your shoulders when you come out here. You're going to need to be a lean machine when you come out here. And clearly, guys, this is not the live stream for the millionaire who can just throw money at problems. Right? I'd like to think I appeal to the do-it-yourselfer, person on a budget. Yeah, unfortunately, these people are in big financial trouble when they come to me. Yeah, well, I can imagine most folks wait until they're in a bad place financially before they go and get help. That kind of makes sense. Well, we're covering it all. Australian banks are trying to force us to go cashless, the final straw to being a real prison island down under. Yeah, well, you were once a bunch of prisoners. Weren't you all prisoners at some point? Wasn't that the original idea? It probably explains why so many Australians that I know are absolutely savage. Mind you, apparently when your firearms are taken away, you can't be that savage, can you? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, digital currency, not my expertise, guys. I have some ideas on it. It is definitely a way to control you even more. I mean, if you're a bad boy or you said something naughty, somebody doesn't like your belief system, maybe they could just pull the plug and you don't have access to your money. I can't imagine, just being, I know, you get fined a traffic infraction. You run a red light and just that money is automatically taken out of your bank account. I mean, for the most part, there's certain powers that can do that already. they can shut you down. People are shut down all the time with bank accounts. So I can only imagine it getting worse with a digital currency. We shall see, guys. Again, I don't want to. I don't want to make the stream completely about all the negative aspects of what's going in life politically. I mean, there's a lot of channels you can go to and get that stuff, guys. I don't want to be just another stream where we talk about all the negatives. Not to poo-poo on you guys, but what's the point if we're just going to discuss the downside of life and politics and whatever the current thing is, because there's always going to be a current thing, guys, and it's up to you to choose whether to hyper focus on it or not. So just a thought. Okay, so all right, well, what else we got here? Savage Lee, I'm in America, I'm debt free, own my own home and property. I work 2 days a week, less than 10K a year. That's not a lot here, but debt free, raising chickens, bunnies, cats, dogs too. That's awesome. That's awesome, and that's what I'm hoping a lot of folks tuning into the stream with plans to live a simple life and grow their own food and have critters. Again, it's so much easier when you're not servicing debt, guys. It's like really that debt thing, and clearly there are people that aren't in debt, but that debt umbrella is savage. It will ruin a life. It'll prevent you from obtaining goals and being a free person. Take care of that, and then you can really start having fun with all the topics that people tuning in here enjoy. We want to have our own chickens, grow our own food, live free. We want to be able to come and go as we please. And removing debt from the picture is key. I'm carrying a little too much on about the debt thing, guys. I'm no expert on advice in that area. I've failed miserably in the past on that, but that's why I can actually talk about it, because I know. Personal experience. Okay, great. Now we're getting some good questions coming in. Growing anything? Well, man, I don't know if I can even. Sjors Larvson. What is that? Kind of Scandinavian, Nordic. I apologize for butchering your name. Sjors. Growing anything? Well, actually, last year I started a greenhouse. I have a small little greenhouse just out in the front of the cabin over here. I say small because my dreams around growing food here are really dependent on that one important ingredient to success in life, and that is water. I harvest my own rainwater, so my garden's pretty small this year. I did it in a little greenhouse. And I experimented with a few things. I grew some beetroots, some crooked neck squash, which I won't do again. I won't do any squashes because, guys, I had no idea what I was getting into. I planted 6 crooked neck squashes in my tiny greenhouse, and it wasn't long and I realized I was going to have a problem because those things grew so huge that they basically overtook everything else in the greenhouse. And towards the end of the growing season, I had these massive plants as you walked in, these massive leaves with huge stems, crooked neck squash. They just took over the entire place. I had no idea. I'm an amateur, I'll admit that. So no more squashes. And I really wanted to plant things that I could either pickle or then preserve. So I wasn't going in on any like soft fruits and all that. I wanted something that would last. I planted potatoes, some cucumbers, onions, some beets, and I experimented with 3 different varieties of tomatoes, which let's just say next year I'll try different tomatoes and a different approach. A lot of my tomatoes, well, all of them were heirloom tomatoes, and folks, I have such a short growing period up here. You really have to be on the ball when you go for something like an heirloom, because heirlooms do take way longer than a lot of the hybrid veggies out there. So short growing season and a long growth spurt for these heirloom tomatoes. I did get a handful from each bush, but there's also a lot of waste, and some didn't mature, and things were starting to get cold already. One of the problems I had with my tomatoes was this cracking. They would fruit relatively small, and then a crack would appear in one day, and then it would just like kind of split open. And I think that may have been because of the way I was watering. My watering the garden wasn't very consistent. I won't say they ever dried out, but I had some extreme hot days in my new greenhouse, and I got home one afternoon and it was like 120 degrees in there, and I had to cut holes in it and ventilate it, and so some mornings I would water early in the morning. Some mornings it would be later, and then some evenings I'd get home late just because of the distances I need to travel, and I'd get watered late. So somebody told me that if you're not consistent with your watering, that can affect heirloom tomatoes to the point where they split like that, and the growth becomes kind of deformed and weird. But I may try some more fast growing tomatoes this year. I like eating tomatoes straight off the vine. Tomatoes are good for you, especially that way. But no squashes. Maybe I'll try something new this year. I don't know. I haven't really decided. It's still way too early for me up here. I can't even get seeds going right now. But maybe in a month or so, I'll start thinking about what I need to get in here, and maybe start indoors. I've kind of limited space in my little cabin here to have seed trays laying out, and of course my greenhouse is pretty small. Growing things outside of a greenhouse up here would be challenging, because when you live out in the woods like this, in the boonies, there's a lot of critters out here that want to eat anything green. If you have something green and delicious out in the open here, it better be behind a fence and then some, because I could fence out deer from an open garden, but it would be tough to fence out the squirrels and all the little critters that climb over fences. They're all over here, so everything wants to eat whatever you grow up here. So that's kind of a challenge being out here. Okay, wow, there's a lot of chit chat over there. Dutch. Okay. Well, welcome. Best way to lose debt is stop paying the bills. They stop lending to you. Oh no, but what about your credit score, sir? Well, I would say don't care about credit score. I know this probably shocked people right now. Oh my gosh, how can you not care about your credit score? It's, life actually can move on. You can go on to do many, many things without a credit score, guys. It's kind of this it's this fake system in place that people actually believe they need to have this great credit score in order to live a good life. It's not a reality. It's not a thing, guys. The last time I even bothered to look at a credit score, I don't know, 10 years ago. I don't care what it is now. I'm pretty sure it's not good, but I just don't care. It's not something I focus on. It's not important. What's important to me are the things we're talking about here. Growing food, hauling water, being out in the woods. Catching your own food come hunting season, fishing. I mean, these are the things I choose to focus on, guys. Credit score, it's kind of like alien language to me, guys. Okay. It's hard to be positive when your back is against the wall with no options to be off-grid and free. I don't believe that. Sometimes it takes a leap of faith to make things happen. Sometimes it takes you doing something that people will say, that's crazy. That's not very responsible. Sometimes you just got to go and do it, guys. And, I'm not advocating for you to be irresponsible. Maybe I am. But if you don't push the limits, at some point, you may never find out what's possible. Most people would never. I know some of you guys look at what I'm doing up here and say, that looks great, I'd love to be doing that. Because we're a special bunch, we're a special group of people that can appreciate that. But let me tell you, it does involve a lot of work and effort and physical effort, and it's not all, rainbows and ponies. But guys, it's way better than living in a concrete jungle, sitting in a vehicle, in a 2 I used to do a 2 hour plus commute daily. And if there's an accident on the highway on a Friday, I'd get home at 10 p.m. So sometimes you just have to pull the trigger, so to speak, and just throw caution to the wind, guys. And just go and do it. It may be uncomfortable for some time, but if you're somebody who really wants to... Oh, I'm adjusting the camera and keep on ducking down. Sorry, guys. If you're somebody passionate about something and you really, really, really want to make something happen, you'll make it happen. But if you keep on telling yourself you can't do something, I don't have enough money, I live in a city, I've got all this debt, you got to kind of, you got to flip a switch somewhere there and start thinking about solutions. It's kind of cliche, but you know the old saying of you are what you eat. I mean, if I just ate hamburgers every single day, mass amounts of hamburgers, I'd probably look like a hamburger or become a hamburger after a while. And the same really applies to sort of thinking, guys. I'm not a thought guru, but if you're going to make a change, you're going to have to shift your thought. Don't stay in that same loop or wheel, the hamster wheel of sort of negativity. I'm in debt. I owe all this. I got this and that. You got to at some point get out of it and start looking at things in another light. I call it stepping outside of the box. And sometimes it is uncomfortable, but how are you going to find out if you don't push yourself? Wow, I carried on a bit too much there. Okay. Technically below poverty level, but standard living much better than upper middle class. Yeah. That's true. I don't look at it that way. The class structure. I've had quite a varied life, guys. I won't go into too much detail, but I've sat on I worked on large private motor yachts for many years. I'm talking about yachts with a dozen crew members and south of France, Mediterranean, some months in New England, Maine coast, Caribbean. I even though it wasn't a lifestyle I was paying for, I was for many years involved in a lifestyle with very wealthy people, and I got to travel around and eat the best food and stay in the most exotic locations, and I was surrounded by luxury. And I can tell you that contrasting that sort of lifestyle with where I'm at now, on the surface level, if you're somebody looking at those two lifestyles, you would probably, most folks, I'd imagine, would be interested in the previous lifestyle I used to lead, and look at this lifestyle as kind of maybe meager and a bit too rough. But I can honestly tell you that I'm a happier man. I have a sense of freedom now, more so than ever before. I had a very early age, young age, earned a lot of money. I had a offshore bank account. I did all sorts of crazy things. But here I am, this guy in a mountain, living in a mountain shack. Somebody said, don't call it a shack, it's a cabin. But, I considered it my shack. But I'm happier now than ever before. I wake up, I walk outside, I thank God just for, the beautiful surroundings. I take a big, deep breath of fresh air in the morning and I see an eagle fly over, and it doesn't matter that I live on, gas fumes. Not not literally, guys, but I'm not sniffing gas. Let's make that clear. I live on very little, and I have very little right now, financially and material wise, but I'm happier now than ever before. So, different classes. Also, happiness it's an internal thing, guys. It's really, I know a lot of you are mature folks watching the stream, and a lot of the stuff may be obvious, but, some of you out there, happiness is kind of an internal thing. It's an internal state of mind, and there are some people that can live in a box under a bridge and be happy. Now, some people might call them crazy, but, you could be happy in no matter what state you're in, because it's an internal thing. So, wow. We're covering topics tonight that I really was not expecting to cover. What else we got? Lol, squash takes over in a hurry. I pulled mine out last year because it was choking out everything else. Well, yeah, that makes two of us. Yeah, I mean, I like eating squash. I like cooking squash. I just had no idea what growing squash was all about. You got to have the space and the water. But the squash that I did get to and did eat was delicious. But yeah, I'm not doing it again in my little greenhouse. Okay, well, there's a whole bunch of stuff here. Grow tomatoes on your windowsill very early. Yeah, my windowsills are tiny. It'd be tough to get tomato plant on there. It's possible. Everything's possible. But yeah, that's a good idea. How do you get the grass? Birdshot? I'm not a fan of, birdshot, guys. I know that's pretty standard for a lot of bird guys to go out there and, flush the bird and then bam! I don't know if you guys have ever chewed on a piece of bird meat or bird breast with a tiny little lead pellet or stainless steel pellet. Tiny, tiny. Those birdshot pellets are tiny. If you've ever bitten down on one of those little suckers or a couple of them, you'll not want to shoot birds with birdshot. Yeah, I've been out with guys using shotguns and birdshot for bird. I've eaten bird and munched down on birdshot. So what I do is I just do a lot of walking. I put a lot of mileage on the foot. I'll walk and walk. Eventually, I'm going to flush something out. With Ranger now, he'll be running circles around me. Quite often, he'll flush it out, and if all goes well, that bird will, with grass, they'll typically just kind of, depending on the terrain, they'll shoot straight up, and try and perch in a branch, high up. And again, depending on your, sometimes they'll just like float through the forest and you'll lose sight of them, but occasionally they'll go straight up after they flushed. And I use a 22.22. I like to think I'm a pretty good shot, and I try for a neck or a head shot when the bird is on the branch and it drops down. I try and get to it before Ranger does. Actually, he's pretty good with that. He just goes a little crazy when he gets a sniff and a lick. I haven't had him try to eat the bird yet, and that's how I do it. Doggo flushes them, and I use a 22 for a head or neck shot. Not a fan of birdshot at all. I just don't see a point in using it. I do have some birdshot for my pistol, but I don't know why. I think I might have shot off a few rounds just to see what the spread is like, but I just don't use it. Yeah. Carlene, that's all I heard from people. You guys are crazy. Why do you want to give up a big house to live with nothing? I stopped talking about it because I don't need validation from anyone. Yeah, I hear you. This isn't about how other people feel about you. This is about you getting to live the way you want to live. And as long as you're getting to do that, who cares what other people think? There's, especially nowadays, I mean, everybody has an opinion, and quite often those folks want to voice their opinions, and they can voice them, but you don't have to pay attention. And that's the joy of living in a free society where you can have an opinion and voice it. I think you can still voice them. Yes, people with opinions and things that I don't like, or lifestyles that I don't like, but more power to them. They can do that over there. I don't have to pay attention to it. As long as you don't put it in my face, I really don't care. And that's how a free society usually operates. So yeah, just carrying on. What brings me to this lifestyle? Natal. What brought me to this lifestyle? Well, even as a young man, I always had an interest in. I loved Western movies and movies, anything to do with a guy living out in the woods. Even as a young guy, that sort of genre or lifestyle has always appealed to me, and even though I had really nothing or little to do with it most of my adulthood and youth, for the most part, it just the log cabin on a mountain in the woods has just always been a picture in my head that appealed to me. So once I got caught up in this modern lifestyle, and once I had obtained the white picket fence and the big house and all the stuff, the accoutrements of a modern lifestyle, I could show all the stuff that I had and had accrued. It didn't take long for me to still have this sense of what's the point of all of this. I never felt satisfied having stuff. I mean, there were moments, temporary moments, where the euphoria of getting something new and being in a modern lifestyle with a great job and the stuff. I mean, there's a sense of accomplishment in that. But I mean, at times there was. But eventually, I began to get the sense of this seems all pretty shallow. And I've always been into backpacking and hiking, and for me, getting out of the city in those early years. And every waking weekend or waking hour that I wasn't working, I would, at that time, get on my motorcycle and scream off into the mountains, and go hamking. I meant hiking. I used to. I did some videos on hammock camping. That's what I was thinking. Hammocking. I don't know, I'm losing it, guys. Every weekend I just spend out in the woods hiking on mountains, and it'd be, I'd always find myself sitting there thinking, wouldn't it be great to live out here? I mean, look at this view, look at the sense of freedom and contentment I'd experience up on top of a mountain. Being a hiker or backpacker was pretty overpowering. And then you'd get back to, the city, heading back into the city, and the traffic starts to build on the highways, and more people. And before you know it, you're thinking about your Monday and all the stuff you've got to do, and it just became obvious that there had to be another way. I wasn't getting. I didn't have a sense of contentment living that sort of modern lifestyle, and so I went from that to looking at properties and just living a different way. I think in the early years, there were a couple of people that I started watching online. I was really interested in permaculture. I'm sure a lot of you guys know about permaculture, and I just poured over videos about permaculture, growing things in a specific way, alongside nature, rather than opposing yourself on nature, just using nature and how it works naturally and growing within that system. So that's really what got me peaked onto this: the love for outdoors and growing your own food, taking care of yourself. I've also always been a pretty independent guy. I'll admit I don't like authority very much. My mother will tell you that. Growing up, I had a lot of problems at school with discipline. So, here I am. I get to do my own thing. Nobody gets to tell me what to do. And that suits my personality very well. Not that that's everything, but it's just various aspects of me that drew me to this kind of lifestyle. And here's the other thing, guys. Once you've lived like this for a while, there's no way that I'm ever moving back to a city. There's just no ways I could do it. There's been, in recent years, I've had to drive to a large city. And let me tell you, the anxiety that I experience just getting close to that city, driving on the highway, and then you have all the on-ramps, more vehicles, and before you know it, it's like 6 lanes either way, and I start to feel like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? It's like too much stimulation for me. Let's just say there's a time in my life where I'd go into the city on a weekend and party like it was 1999. And had no problem. Now, if I stand downtown anywhere, it's like I need to get out of here. So I don't even like going into a small town and grocery shopping, guys. That's like the bane of my life is, going grocery store shopping. I don't do it very often. But, yeah, you live like this for a few years, you're going to realize really that a lot of the stuff down there in the valley, shall we say, in the cities is really unnecessary and not that great. Okay, back to chat. Sorry, guys, ranting. Carrying on a little bit. Where are we? Oregon Fur, yes, very true. Credit score is not needed at all when you are debt-free. Been having a great time laughing at those that think they are threatening me when referencing credit score in talks. Yeah, I know. It's been a while since I've been in any discussion or heard anything or somebody's asked me about a credit score, but I'm fairly confident the last few times it came up, I just kind of laughed. Juice Master, you just found the stream. Well, welcome. We're kind of getting towards the end of it. Guys, I just want to thank everybody for showing up. I'm seeing 23 viewers. Hey, last stream, the first stream, it was 14, so it's 23 now. So if you guys show up next time, maybe we can get that number up even more. Yeah, I'm feeling like a boss with 23 viewers. But I see total overall there's been 268 views, but concurrent viewers 23. I'm sharing that with you guys. Okay, we can kind of, I think, drawing to a close here, guys. We've been going almost 2 hours. We'll maybe do like 10 more minutes of me jibber-jabbering, and then we'll shut it down, and we'll shoot for another stream maybe next Friday. I'm actually going out of state for a few days, guys. I'm not sure what that'll involve, the exact amount of days, so if you want to kind of follow what I'm doing, it's really gab.com. I share what I'm doing, pictures, short clips. I've kind of moved away from the Facebook and YouTube and the Instagram. I mean, I still have accounts on those platforms, but it's just not the areas I like to hang out on, guys. So gab.com, just look for Off-Grid Warrior and you'll find me, and that's where I share most of my stuff. Right, so where were we? Okay, I'm back again. I want to go off-grid, but I have a small mansion in the middle of nowhere. I will need to invest in some power, off-grid power, that is. Did I read that wrong? Come back again. You want to go off-grid, but have a small mansion in the middle of nowhere. I'll need to invest in some power. Yeah, okay, everybody's power needs are different. again, guys, if you're somebody with a lot of money, this stream, I am not your guy. All right, because yeah, I've seen people. I know people that have come in and just have a log home builder. I built for a brief period. I built log homes commercially for a company. I travel all around the country and we built log homes. And so, there's people out there with lots of money. I've seen all kinds of solar arrays. I've seen an entire roof of solar panels. The entire roof, pretty much the entire roof, just solar panels with, massive battery banks. I'm talking like, I think $80,000 is probably the most expensive system I've seen, solar array batteries, and I know they get far more expensive than that. So you can do all sorts of things, guys, with solar panels and a massive battery array. I mean, there are people that run big screen TVs. I know people off-grid that have televisions and washing machines and all that. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's just not a way I've chosen to do it. Not only because I don't have those kind of finances, but if I really wanted to, I would, have all those things. It's just not a driving force for me. Again, nothing wrong with that. So I understand, especially if you're a family man and there's kids and a wifey, you've got to keep the wifey happy, guys. Keep the wife happy, especially if she's a good one. If she's a keeper, you want to do everything you can to keep her comfortable. And not every woman wants to go and rough it out. They like the idea of being off grid and the kind of freedom and having chickens, but they may not want to rough it. So yeah, I get that. So yeah, hopefully you get to that point where you can have that sort of system to sustain yourself, with the big mansion. Adam S., hope you keep these streams going. Appreciate your effort. Well, thank you, Adam S. I appreciate a comment like that. It's tough just getting started again on YouTube. I used to put out more videos, and the live stream is something new to me. But it is tough if I do this for a while and nobody shows up. I may stop doing it. I'm not doing this because I'm planning on retiring and making a fortune. There's no sort of monetary income from this. I really just want to share what I'm doing with other like-minded people. I gotta let my dog out, guys. 1 second. He's whining. Hey, buddy. Wanna go outside? Okay, dog outside. I kind of lost my train of thought there. I really did lose my train of thought, guys. Help me out. Where was I? Yeah, so if it's kind of important that people tune into a live stream because for me it is kind of, I know this might sound weird, but it's nice to kind of interact with people even though it is online and you're not sitting next to me in my non-existent living room. It's nice to share and have this back and forth with like-minded people. All right. Yeah, I mean, there's stuff that I may learn from you guys. So it's just nice to hang out with like-minded folks to discuss the things that we enjoy discussing, particularly off-grid, living free, being a free man or woman, and just getting out and making things happen. Living a better life away from all the mindless nonsense. Okay, let me get back onto chat over here, guys. I feel like I go off on maybe too much of a tangent on some of the questions. So I apologize again if I'm missing questions here, guys. I'll improve things as we move along here. Where are we? Do you occasionally indulge in a pastry from the Mustang? I'm not sure what that is. What are we talking about? Is Mustang a place? If it is, I don't know where it is. Okay, sorry if I'm scanning over some of these. I'm trying to just attack the questions for now. Aussie Prepper asks, what happened to my power banks? Why not use them and not the Jenny? Well, sir, if you watched my previous stream that I did, you should be able to just go back in my channel. There's a tab with live, and in there should be the last or the first stream I did, episode 1, stream uno. And I talk about my power setup, and yeah, I still have all those solar generators, and I do use them daily. Actually, the solar generator is what I prefer to use over the generator. It's just when I'm streaming like this and running the computer, I want something that I know is, hopefully just going to run. And I have some lights running now off the generator. If I turned my light off, you guys wouldn't see me right now. So just the generator is good right now, but I typically don't like to use the generator. I don't like the noise of the generator. Generators, require fuel. That's a cost. If I could just run off batteries all the time, I would, and I do. I do actually run off batteries most of the time, and my solar panels. In winter, that's been a little bit rough, because I have multiple days of doom and gloom here, where the 3 solar panels that I have just isn't quite enough, and so I'll run the generator in winter, maybe twice a week for a few hours at a time. But yeah, the solar generators and batteries is the way to go, my preferred way. I have all that stuff, and watch the first stream that I did, Aussie Prepper, to get an update on that. Where are we at? Savage Lee, I have a generator, gas for a week plus. After that, if there's no power, can everything with the power goes out. Cooking, canning, party, it hasn't happened yet. Yeah, I mean, the gas generator is a great backup to have. It's just not something you want to rely on. There's, if you're running a generator all the time, guys, just to have a good evening, it's probably not a great way to go about it. Really, batteries and solar power, it's quiet. You don't have the maintenance concerns with running a generator all the time, the fuel costs. Yeah, there's an upfront cost with batteries and solar panels, but it's just much quieter. I don't like being out in the woods sharing a generator. I don't like being in my house and hearing a generator outside. I try to avoid that. Oregon Fur, we are so overloaded with wildlife that we no longer need hunting gear. We just need to be the first to find the carrion. Yeah. Where are we? Aussie Prepper, I was the same way in school, Off-Grid Warrior. I never could assimilate. Yeah. I didn't have a problem assimilating. It's just I just wasn't a fan of being told what to do. Maybe it's the same thing. Yeah, cities are dangerous places full of desperate people. Yeah, let's just say, hypothetically, if the poop hits the fan, folks, the city is just not where I want to be. And again, I don't live in the space always worrying about worst case scenario. That's not anywhere anyone should live. Don't live your life every day thinking about worst case scenario. Am I ready? Am I prepared? Think about the positive, the upswing, thinking about living, thriving, doing. And if you're doing all that correctly, then the preparedness for worst case scenario should be in place. Try not to hyper focus on that negative stuff. I got to bring the dog in again, guys. Okay. Onwards. Carlene says 25 viewers, 23 right now. That's awesome. Let's go. Nicholas Sather, hey warrior, glad to see you again. Greetings from Norway. Well, greetings to you, sir. Again, is that a name? I know it seems familiar. Yeah, thanks for swinging by. I appreciate it. You must be several hours ahead right now. It must be late over there, right? Yeah, you're ahead of us. Right now it is 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Okay. Yeah, I'll do better with getting the message out about the live stream, guys. Eventually, I'm going to have a set day, and you guys will know, every Friday at 6 o'clock, Off Grid is streaming. And, we'll get to that point. It's, I need to figure out not just listening to viewers and people, what works best. Is it a Friday evening that works best? Is it a Saturday evening that works best? We need to figure those sort of things out. The ideal time. We've got people. We have people in Europe as well as the East West Coast, United States. So we have to find somehow a middle ground. I don't know if that's possible, but we'll figure that out and hopefully get to a regular time so you guys know all the time. Yeah. 2 PCs, that sounds a little too high tech for me. Yeah, I don't know if I'm that kind of streamer or will ever be one. Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Carlene. I appreciate that. God bless you too. Thanks for swinging by. I appreciate every single person that has popped in tonight. Again, we saw more than 20 people. Last time was 14, so yay. Okay. I think we're getting to the end of this, guy. Quick search on questions here. Again, I apologize if I missed your question. A Oregon fur solved the woman issue 50 plus years ago when I decided my top priority was to seek such that I never use makeup. May seem odd, but it worked. My dad always said, find one that can pull a plow. Yeah, wow, that's quite a topic, guys. I've been single now for quite some time. Let's just say it's new to me, and that's fine. But it's been quite a stretch, and I've also resigned myself to if that's the way it's got to be, that's the way it's got to be. That sounds so miserable. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, good women is hard to find, and let me tell you, this is what. As somebody who's struggled over the years, let's just say my ability to pick good women. Hey, buddy, what's wrong? Pick good women was, let's just say my picker was broken. I had this habit of running towards, instead of running away from red flags, I used to run towards red flags. And I don't want to get into the details, but, I haven't always been as well balanced as I am now. So I've made some horrible mistakes in that department. I've learned. And if you gentlemen out there watching this have a good woman in your life, God bless you. Hang on to her and treat her like gold, because, especially as you get older, guys, you'll find a lot of the good ones have already been snapped up and are spoken for. So, it gets a little tougher as you get older, finding somebody who's a good woman. And, I better shut up now. All right. Solar panels is free compared to gasoline. Correct observation. Okay, so yeah, I think we're coming to the end of this, guys. The stream on your phone is more ahead on the computer. Wonder why? I don't know. There's some technical questions. I have no idea, guys. I'm still barely struggling to figure out all the software involved with making this happen. So, anyways, guys, I think we're going to call it a night at that. We've been going for 2 hours. Wow, that's impressive. I had originally planned, I thought just maybe an hour. So 2 hours later, here we are. I want to thank everybody for coming in tonight. I really appreciate it, guys. And, I'll let you know about the next one. And hopefully, like I say, make these more regular, as long as people keep tuning in. So if you guys want to find me, it's Off-Grid Warrior on gab.com. I don't post much on other platforms anymore, but you can find tons of video and sort of random stuff on gab.com. And, follow me there. And, yeah, thanks for hanging out, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you got something out of the stream. That's all I'm really asking for, is that we can share ideas as a community or a group of people with similar interests. Not everybody dreams of going off grid or being off grid and living like this. And to find a group of people or community of people that are interested in this is really where I want to be. Not to focus too much on the fear porn, guys. You got to get through that stuff. It will wear you down, and it will also debilitate you, guys. More importantly, focusing on that stuff will debilitate you, all right? So, get up, rise above it, and, know about it, but then start, marching forward, most importantly. Okay, guys, I'm out of here. Business 17. Thanks for the stream. Very good info. Well, thank you. Hopefully, you folks got something out of it, and we can do it again. All right, guys. I think we're going to call it an evening at that. So, have a good weekend, guys. Enjoy it. Go out there, make things happen. Start working on those plans. Nobody else is going to do it for you, all right? You got to start doing the small baby steps to get there. Doing the small baby steps to get there. My dog is on my lap here. He needs attention. Okay. We'll see you guys. Take it easy.